Welcome to the 24th annual Waccamaw Arts and Crafts Guild Juried Show at the Myrtle Beach Art Museum, and we are so happy to be here. It is April 29th, and this is the opening day of the show. This is also the day that we give out the awards. Everybody's thrilled about that. As many of you are aware, COVID-19 basically canceled last year's show. This year we're trying to get back on track. The show is not back to normal completely. We won't have our normal reception, but what we're going to try to provide is a video with this that will give everybody a little feel for how the show is. And do not pass up the opportunity to come see the show in person. There's nothing like seeing the art right in front of you. You can look at photographs and video all day long, but it's not the same thing. We're going to post this on the website, so it will be available to everyone for everyone to see. Naturally, I want to thank Liz Miller, who is one half of the Sisters of Perfection, and they do the hanging of the show, and they are special people. They work here at the museum and do a wonderful job. Speaking of wonderful jobs, we have here Pat Goodwin, who is the executive director of the Franklin G. Burroughs Singing Bee Chapin Art Museum. I have to read that because that's a mouthful. Yeah, I call it the Myrtle Beach Art Museum, and it's a great place. They're always so helpful, and we're so glad to be working with them. It's always a pleasure. At this point, I'd like to ask Pat to just make a few remarks, if she would, and I'll pass it to her.
Thank you. Am I in the right spot, Tom? Do you want to check?
You are there.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Patricia Goodwin, Pat Goodwin, and I am the executive director of the Myrtle Beach Art Museum. Tom gave us the long name. That was the short name. It is just such an honor to be part of this exhibition, and of course to be working with Liz Miller, our curator, who has done such an exquisite job of hanging this show. Please, please, everyone, come and visit as many times as you can, because I really think it's one of the best we've had. We may say that every year, Tom, but I truly believe this is one of the best. I also want to say what a pleasure it is to work with Tom and all of the members of the Guild Board and of the Guild. I want to thank everyone for being part of the show every year, and of course to the wonderful artists who participate. We weren't able to have the show last year, and that was a huge disappointment, but I think this year certainly makes up for that. When I think about celebrating the 24th annual Waccamaw Arts and Crafts Guild show, my mind leaps to next year, and the 25th anniversary of the Art Museum and this show. If it wasn't for the Waccamaw Arts and Crafts Guild, there would not be an art museum. Back in the 1970s and the 1980s, they made this museum happen, and so this collaboration means so much, just not only for the Art Museum, but for all of the Guild members. So I thank you for letting us be part of this. It was such a pleasure to meet our judge, Dean Beard, sorry. Just to meet her and to have her at the Art Museum, and I hope we see more of her. And Tom, I will hand it back to you.
All righty. Thanks, Pat. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce our very special judge, Dee Beard Dean. But first, a little background. Dee is a nationally known artist who's been painting since childhood. She was raised in the countryside of northern Indiana, where she studied at Kendall College of Art and Design, Scottsdale Art School, Fetching Institute, Grand Rapids College, and New York Academy of Art. In her early years, Dee was a well-known fashion designer, manufacturing her own clothing line, which was distributed to over 450 stores throughout the United States. She later escaped the pardon, the hectic lifestyle of the fashion world and went back to her first love, painting. You can tell I'm not a speech person. Her greatest inspirations have come from painting plein air, where her elevated senses guide her in creating painterly landscapes filled with evocative light and dramatic shadows. That is obvious in her work. Her highly collectible works hang in corporate and private collections throughout the U.S. She is a signature member of the American Impressionist Society. She's also a signature member of the American Society of Marine Artists and an honorary signature member of the International Plein Air Painters. She is a member of the Oil Painters of America, American Women Artists, and founder of the Plein Air Painters of the Southeast. At this point, I would welcome her to make comments. Dear Dee. You would please step up.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you for having me here. This is such an honor. This beautiful museum and the artwork is just astounding. So I had seen the artwork earlier when I juried in the artist, and it was all very, very lovely. But seeing it in person, Tom, you are so right. Makes such a difference. It's lovely. So I'm just happy to be here, happy to meet all you fine folks, and I have a few comments about what makes a painting a winner. And I thought maybe you artists would like to hear these comments because it's important. Even after you've been an artist for a long time, it's still important to know. And this is from a judge's viewpoint. What one judge rejects, another judge might accept. So never feel that because your piece didn't win an award, it wasn't worthy of it, because another judge might pick it. I've had it happen over the years. So that's an important point to make, I think. When presenting your work to a contest or organization such as this, consistency, if you're presenting more than one piece, is often important and catches the attention of a judge. So a group of entries showing consistent quality and winning characteristics will make an impact. And I've seen that often when judging shows. I think one of the last shows I judged was Olmsted in Atlanta, huge show. But there were just certain pieces that stood out, and that's an important factor too. And we judges call that the wow factor. And I've seen a lot of that here, a lot of wow factor. And some of you are just, it's just astonishing, some of the things I've seen here. Especially in the crafts area even. It's just amazing. So another thing is, does the technique of your art serve the purpose well? So if you're a watercolorist, sometimes your technique is certainly different than an oil painter, which is a lot of heavy impasto, and that is totally different type of painting, but yet this has the same principles. And the principles are the same whether you're painting an abstract or a realistic painting of a landscape, let's say. So the principles are the same. Your perspective and being able to bring things forward and push things back in a landscape, that can even be true in an abstract, where you have a focal point that's important. And that, again, is the wow factor. So, anyway, no matter what you think, as far as judging, the judging process, it comes down to a subjective decision. And what one judge chooses, another judge might not. So, keep on painting, regardless. Thank you so much.
Okay, that was great. Dee provided me with a USB drive that had some of that same information on it, And I'm going to send that out to our members. And I was looking at it while I was preparing for this tonight, and it's wonderful. And I think everybody will benefit from that greatly, and thank you so much for sharing. At this point, well, everybody's standing around, when they're going to give out the awards. It's now. It's now. We're going to do it. So we're going to reposition everything, and